Jim Rogers is a legendary global investor and was way ahead of the curve on the bull market in commodities. He's very bullish on an emerging investment that gets little attention. We're going to get to that. But first, his thoughts on perhaps some of the more pressing matters of the day. Jim Rogers joins us from Frankfurt, Germany. Jim, we know that you're a critic of Ben Bernanke. We also know in the last couple of weeks we've been hearing a lot about Operation Twist. What do you make of Operation Twist as a strategy to help the U.S. economy?
I don't pay any attention to it. Bernanke's in there printing money again. He's already started quantitative easing again. He announced in early August that he was going to keep interest rates low. You cannot do that, Rhonda, unless you're in the market. You can't just say the words, Rhonda, interest rates will stay low. You have to be in there. And if you don't believe how monetary theory works, just go and look at the M2 numbers. Starting at the beginning of August, when he said that, M2 numbers jumped up. A monetary base jumped up a lot. So he's in the market. He's manipulating the market. He's flooding the market with money again. None of this is going to do good things for the U.S. It's all going to end very badly.
Today, our country has a $2.2 billion ICT industry, a region leader powered by outstanding IT professionals. And IBM is still with us, partnering with top Jordanian companies, working with our universities in cutting-edge R&D, and supporting Jordan's model early learning programs. Sam, we are grateful for your partnership and hope it will continue for years to come. Jordan's partnership with IBM is evidence of a powerful global reality of the modern age. Technology, innovation, and new business processes have pushed back borders and horizons. Connectivity is a given, and we all have an interest in working together. Because for all the wonders that technology can do, here's what it can't do. It cannot make our choices for us. To confront hard realities and accept the need for change, to reach out and build consensus on complex issues, and to have the will to get to the goal. Making these choices is the job of leadership at every level. Whether we're talking about a company like IBM, a family, a community, a country, or the world we share.
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Friday, September 23rd, 2011, and I'm Darko. This is my website, ggnonline.com. That's www.ggnonline.com. Also, I have a YouTube page, ddarko2012. That's ddarko2012. There was a new look on there, and that was a YouTube member and a GGN subscriber. I'm not sure if his name's out there, but I See Your Soul. That's his channel profile. So you can go check him out, subscribe, and I just wanted to publicly thank him again for taking the time and offering that. That new design. It was pretty sharp, and I took some of it and put it on the website and kind of gave it a little facelift or something, a little update. Either way, there's a poll up here. How likely is it that the standards of living will increase for the serf class in the next decade? Majority of people, 97%, are saying below 50%. You can follow by email here. Also, Global Government News has a Facebook group. About 80 members right now. You can check out the link to that on Facebook and YouTube's video description with over 100, 130 sometimes articles, links of very interesting articles, stories in there. So go check out those headlines and links as well. Okay, now I'm done with that. I have to get that out of the way for new listeners. Just go through the economy briefly, and it says here, no sign of recession with rising rail shipments showing trend towards expansion. So there's no recession on the horizon there, guys. Economic signals heighten worries of a double dip. So we might have a double dip. No. There's this here, UK manufacturing orders fall. Then in China, industrial activity, i.e. manufacturing's down. Then we move on to this. Soros, U.S. is already in a double dip recession. This is what I said in my last videos. They keep talking about, whoa, we're heading towards a recession. Well, we're heading towards a depression. We're already in a recession. And of course, he knows it because he's a power player, you know? He's a power player. And I'm not sure, this is speculation, but it seems like Jim Rogers, like he said, he has a hard time figuring out what the markets are going to do, predicting. But he doesn't know how the system works, the rigged system. And so in that respect, he's successful. On the other hand, you have people like Soros that are kind of involved in this whole rigged system directly and indirectly. And so, you know, they have all the insider trading news and that. So it's a little bit different. And he's actually gotten out of the hedge fund market after it's been, what everything that's happened with it. And he's got his own little company now. And so, of course, that company is going to be for all of those other type elitists that don't want to play in the rigged market. So, Great Recession yields a lost generation of workers. And it goes in there, it says, in record-setting numbers, young adults struggling to find work are shunning long-distance moves to live with mom and dad, delaying marriage, and buying fewer homes, often raising kids out of wedlock. They suffer from the highest unemployment since World War II and risk living in poverty more than others, nearly 1 in 5. And it goes on there and it says that it highlights the missed opportunities and dim prospects for a generation of mostly 20-somethings and 30-somethings coming of age and a prolonged slump of high unemployment. Yeah, and it goes in there and it basically says that there are really high levels of underemployment. Unemployment will haunt young people for the last decade, calling them the, quote, lost generation. Next up, businessman boycotts Jobcentre school leavers because they, quote, have no work ethic and spend all their time checking their phones. And it goes in here and he says that complaining the school leavers they sent him trudged in with hangovers and spent all their time checking their mobile phones on or Facebook. He also branded Britain's new generation of teenagers as having no work ethic and unfit for the labor market. Then who benefits from job growth in Texas? And it goes in here and it says that 81% of the jobs created in Texas since 2007 were taken by newly arrived immigrant workers, legal and illegal. Also, of newly arrived immigrants who took jobs in Texas, 93% were non-U.S. citizens. China took almost 10,000 jobs from Maine. It took her jobs. Then next up, the banking gears of housing. Bank of America sells mortgage servicing rights on large loan pool to Fannie Mae. 400,000 loans shifted to Fannie Mae with $73 billion in unpaid principal. Bank of America is said to hire ex-Goldman Sachs chemical banker. And I think I just reported on it. Goldman Sachs person was busted for insider trading. U.S. House passes temporary budget to avoid a shutdown of the government. Of course, I've said this before. If the government were to shut down, there would be this bump in commerce and people would start trading with their own currencies, and so you'd have competing currencies and competing fire departments. You have everything just all kind of competing, and there'd be prosperity and freedom, and people wouldn't want a government anymore. So I don't see that happening. The only thing I see happening is the dissolving of nationalism and national governments, sovereign governments, and then kind of scaling those governments down, calling it austerity after they gut and bankers steal generations worth of wealth from taxpayers. It basically, these governments get sucked into this global system, which is pretty much happening right now, and I call it a global government. And so that's pretty much what we'll have in the future. Fed's Williams says it's unclear if Operation Twist or QE works better. I wonder which one. Maybe neither. But Keynes was not a big Keynesian. So it goes on here. It says a British economist, John Maynard Keynes, who declared that when, like today, economic growth grinds to a standstill and businesses fail to provide enough jobs, governments have the ability and the duty to fill the gap. So it says here, Moody's cuts 8 Greek bank ratings by 2 notches, and going on, IMF global economy needs a collective action now. So Lagarde is called top countries to act now and act together. So very, like I said, collectivist. It's no more individualism, no more national sovereignty or anything. Your government and your economy gets, it's not really your government, it's the bankers. That's why they just rape and pillage it all the time, create all these bubbles. But they do that, and these global government bodies, these IMF and World Bank institutions, will come in and say, you need help. You have no choice. We will help you. You will take our help. And if you don't, then the economy will implode and stuff like that. The future of leadership leading through a systematic change. So let me repeat this. The future of leadership leading through systematic change, i.e. the social engineers, the powers that be, whatever you want to call them, are creating change systematically. 20-year plan, 10-year plans, 25-year plans, 50-year plans, 100-year plans, 500,000-year plans ahead. Everything that we see now, as we call technology and the latest and the greatest, has all been planned. It's all been designed hundreds of years ago. And like cell phones that were, humongous in the 80s, they could have been a lot smaller, but they didn't want to freak people out and think that, that technology that was in Star Trek was actually available back in the 60s. But that's what I'm saying, actually having pretty much like fax machines back in World War II, they were using them, intelligence in Germany and that, and hey, it didn't, the technology doesn't exist. They always like to leave the slaves thinking that they're on the cutting edge of in its progress, and it goes in and it says that the rise of expansive systems across the world, think of them as a system of systems, inspires new kinds of leadership lessons. How do you tackle complex city planning issue where no individual organization has exclusive control? See? Or how to start a smart grid project. And of course, the decisions have already been made by people in the Council of Foreign Relations, Club of Rome, the Bilderberg Group, and then so these people will go from each country to the United Nations, and these little little wannabe round tables for the middle management people that think that they're movers and shakers, and they really don't make any decisions. But hey, they like to play it out, and they get to feel important. And it says here, ambassadors to the future. That's what you would become, an ambassador to the future. And my only question is, do you have to become a global citizen first? You might want to ask Obama, who isn't even a citizen of his own country. A unique interactive experience, think. Now here is a unique idea. They call it think because why? Because it's not they want you to let the experts, the scientific experts, the philanthropists to think for you. They want to do your thinking for you. That's why they call it think. So anyways, a forum on the future of leadership. Ooh, the future of leadership. Of course, it involves what? Our collective understanding. Moving on here, IBM boosts commitment to Africa, doubles employee leadership development and public service program. Oh man, I went down here just to take a little gander, and look at what it says in here, talking about IBM's going to send in a global health project team aimed at reducing cervical cancer. I wonder, in Africa, I wonder if they're going to, basically promote tampon usage and that, and then of course they'll get cancer, and then they'll come in with HPV vaccine, and then maybe IBM can track that just like they did with Holocaust people, with the technology that was provided to the Nazis by IBM in World War II. Who knows? That's globalization. That's competition. That's innovation. Africa, IMF calls for open trade with poor countries. So again, poverty eradication. That was on the docket for the global government, the United Nations summit. So of course we're talking about wealth redistribution. Of course that will be done through climate change, i.e. a carbon tax, which will go directly to the banks and fund this world government. Bill Gates backs financial transaction tax to aid poor. Again, redistribution of wealth, poverty eradication. That's why you're seeing all this bullshit propaganda in the news. Is crude oil still gushing in the Gulf? New 10-mile oil slick spotted near Deepwater Horizon. And so it makes sense. BP oil plans full return to Gulf drilling this year. Earth Risk Technologies predicts weather weeks in advance. So that's great, isn't it? They can predict weather weeks in advance. Well, it's kind of fucking easy when you're creating the weather. When you manufacture the weather, earthquakes and rain and all that, yeah, it would be kind of easy to predict the weather. Rain predicted for Energy Department's solar decathlon on the National Mall. And this is interesting because what? the Energy Department is actually involved with this whole climate change and spraying and drought eradication, and the national laboratories. You go all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see all the little laboratories that are in there and stuff like that. But either way, I'm going to keep moving on. Cat 4 equivalent typhoon Rogue slams Japan, and it says here Japanese people cannot get a break. It says it dumped heavy amounts of rain on areas in Northwest where the reactors are located. Okay, next we have Fukushima fallout in California waters, a threat, and of course they're going to go in there and tell you there is no health risk to the public. Just keep drinking your fluoride. Sucralose found in drinking water supply of more than 28 million Americans. This is GGN, and I'm Darko. Thank you.